Then the Dark Lord learned the craft of ring-making and made the Master Ring. The one ring to rule them all.
Okay.
Welcome, quarry workers, nuclear plant personnel, and 150-million-year-old rock people. Oh, wait, you've all turned to dust. To this, the 262nd episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 20th of June, 2018, and featuring The Hand of Fear, written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor and Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. My name is Randy Ronson McCulloch, and I'll be your host for the season. And with me on the panel tonight is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
I hold action to stab something as soon as it comes around the corner.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
French Otomi visual novels are the best.
Thomas Fireheart.
I finally seem to be over that cough I had last week.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Wake up, people! The Pacific Ocean is an illusion!
Bill
Cake is a
Sylvia,
lie!
Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, would have been here tonight, but watched the wrong episode today. So
Womp
is
womp.
playing catch-up.
Yep.
On tonight's show, we have news. We actually have some news. Not a lot, but some. Birthdays. And then I think after that, we're going right to our summary and our episode review.
Mm-hmm.
We might have some more geek talk in a week or two, but at the moment, it's pretty thin on the geek news. Anything good happened to you guys this week?
Not really.
If I got to the last island on Kingdom.
It's been a comedy of errors, apparently, today, by the way. I started the morning by watching next week's episode instead of this week's. Bill, at the same time, was watching last week's episode, thinking it was this week's. And I was able to catch up. Bill was not, because he had a lot of work. He was going to be coming in late anyway, and since he was going to be late, decided just to not show up. He's going to catch up and will join us, and hopefully there'll be a massive review of Shame next week.
Yeah, I still ponder how he's going to keep everything straight, but he assumes he can.
I don't know. I was
Well,
looking
it probably
over.
happens when you make an assumption.
I was looking over stuff that we had done recently. It's like we reviewed The Savages. Why can I not remember this serial at all?
Yes.
Because you don't want to.
The epic story of two brothers who in the early to mid-90s made two different coming-of-age sitcoms.
No. Moving on to birthdays. We have 4 birthdays on 2 days. The first of which was the 16th of June, which saw the birthday of Carol Ann Ford, i.e. Susan Foreman, who from 1963 to 64, and again for the 20th anniversary special in 83, turned 78. Wow, it's kind of hard to imagine Susan being 78, isn't it?
Well, we've kind of seen her periodically here and there.
I know, but I mean, just it's hard to get in your mental image.
But just to think about it, that character being that old now, yeah, that's a little bit weird because you can look back at it so easily.
Yep. Also, on the 16th of June is the birthday of Michael Kilgariff, who played the Cyber Controller in 1968's Tomb of the Cybermen, and also in 1985's Attack of the Cybermen. He turned 81.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's Cybermen to keep coming back.
Also, on the 17th of June is the birthday of Arthur Darvill, Rory Williams from 2010 to 2012, and Captain Rip Hunter on Legends of Tomorrow. He turned 36. That sounds about right. Interestingly enough, Also on the same day, and the exact same day, as a matter of fact, Jodie Whittaker, our new 13th Doctor, same age. They were born on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting little
Jeez.
coinky-dink there. I saw that and the birthdays listed. I'm just like, wow.
It's a small world in Doctor Who after all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Damn.
So that's all we have for birthdays. Unfortunately, we do have a lost story this week, Aaron.
Okay, Unearthly Podcast, we hear announces the death of Leslie Grantham at the age of 71. Grantham was a bit of a checkered past. In his youth, he had talent as a netball player before joining the Royal Fusiliers.
That's the part of the British Army, by the way.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, is that some kind of sports ball team?
No, that's he started with talent as a netball player, but then decided abruptly to join the British Army.
What is netball? Is that?
It's a derivative of basketball.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was like lacrosse or something.
No, it's a variation. It's back when basketball was still being put together. Somebody in Europe got a hold of it, and they evolved differently. So one's called basketball, one's called netball.
I'm gonna have to check that out here.
Yeah.
He attempted to rob a taxi driver and accidentally, quote unquote, shot him, killing him.
He
was
claims
con-
it was accidental. The corpse found otherwise.
Yeah, he was convicted of murder and sent to prison in England, where he served 10 years. During that time, he met Louise Jameson, who was on a prison tour, and she encouraged him to take up acting. Following his release, he appeared in a few things, including the Doctor Who serial Resurrection of the Daleks, where he played Kiston.
Kiston, by the way, was Lytton's subordinate, so just to let you know.
Okay, before landing a major role in what was then a new series, EastEnders, as Den Watts, a character he played for 5 years, and again for a year and a half in 2003 through 2004. Leslie lived in Bulgaria for the last few years. He returned to the UK a few months ago for medical treatment for an undisclosed problem. He died presumably of this issue on Friday morning.
Yeah, the family hasn't disclosed what he died of, so.
So mostly he's known for his role in Resurrection of the Daleks?
No, he's known mostly for his role in EastEnders.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Den Watts, I guess, was kind of the EastEnders equivalent of J.R. Ewing.
Oh, I was gonna say he's that guy, isn't he? You know
Yeah.
that guy.
And yeah, he played it for 5 years before retiring, and then they convinced him to come back in the early 2000s. And then he left after 18 months, where they actually finally permanently killed off his character.
Mm.
And then he, like I said, he moved to Bulgaria, lived there for a few years, came back for medical treatment, and then died.
Mm.
It might have been cancer, considering the time, but they haven't stated for certain.
Mm-hmm.
Still a hell of a turnaround in his life.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had taken up acting on stage in like prison plays, and I do wonder where he went from joining the army to having to rob a taxi driver in Germany, because that's where this happened.
Mm.
And he claimed he didn't realize the gun was actually loaded when he shot him, and that's
Yeah, you
things
gotta
went
wonder
from there.
what kind of state he must have been to think it wasn't loaded.
yeah.
First
But
of all.
but the German courts convicted him of murder, and apparently anybody that's a British military officer convicted of murder is automatically expedited to the British penal system.
Oh. So
So
he was
he-
immediately sent home.
It's immediately
in
sent
prison.
home, but yeah, put in prison. And Louise Jameson is known for making these prison visits to make sure that prisoners are being treated humanely, etc.
Mm.
And she must have seen him acting in a prison play and encouraged him to take up acting afterwards. And after that, he started out as a bit actor, probably usually playing the villain, like he was kind of in Resurrection of the Daleks. and then almost immediately got the EastEnders role, and that just he rode those coattails for a while. Then he did a whole bunch of other stuff, and then came back to EastEnders and left. I mean, EastEnders is that kind of show.
EastEnders is a big enough show too, so.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, at the time he joined it, it was just starting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So yeah, it was kind of a big move for them to get one of their founding characters back. Anyway, we've spent way too much time on this article.
But it's sad to see him go.
Yep. Moving on to the awards section, Tim.
Hooray, awards. Doctor Who may be up for an Emmy, but as a movie? The BBC has decided that the 2017 Christmas special Twice Upon a Time qualifies as a TV movie, and they have submitted for contention of nomination in that category. Also submitted was Best Movie/Miniseries Actor for Peter Capaldi, Best Movie/Miniseries Actress for Pearl Mackie, Best Movie/Miniseries Writing for Stephen Moffat, and Best Movie/Miniseries Directing for Rachel Talalay. The nominees will be chosen on July 12th. If Doctor Who is nominated, it will go to the awards ceremony in November. Fingers crossed.
Now, I understand the nominations for, of course, the episode for Peter Capaldi, for Stephen Moffat, and for Rachel Talalay. But Pearl Mackie's a bit of a stretch since she was in there for, what, all of 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking that one won't go through, but I'm kind of hoping some of the other ones will. Apparently, the BBC has a lot of luck getting this category cinched with Sherlock, but I do believe they are pulling a bit of a stretch trying to get an episode of Doctor Who in there as this, even if it was a special. All right.
So are BBC shows even eligible for the Emmys? Because isn't the Emmys an American award?
No, it's global.
Okay.
It's just 90% of the time it's American things that get nominated.
Yeah.
However, apparently Sherlock has been in there more than once, so.
So now they get to throw Doctor Who at it because that's their big budget thing these days.
Mm-hmm. It's basically the same as the Academy Awards, but for television. So it's an international thing that's pretty much done by an American committee, but odds are, if your stuff isn't seen in America, it's probably not going to get on the list. But it doesn't have to be specifically from America. There's been a lot of Canadian stuff up there because America and Canada often share programming, especially on cable.
Okay.
All right. So moving on.
Yep.
Event news. It is now confirmed that the Series 11 Doctor Who cast will be hitting San Diego Comic-Con. Actors Jodie Whittaker, Tashan Cole, and Mandy Gill will attend, as will new showrunner Chris Chibnall and the new executive producer Matt Stevens. Apparently, Chris Hardwick is supposed to moderate, but considering recent allegations of sexual abuse against Hardwick by his ex, we're expecting he'll be replaced before the actual convention in July 19th through 22nd. Actually, an update on that. Our speculation is indeed correct, as it has been announced that Chris Hardwick has been dropped as moderator. There is no word yet on his replacement.
For that particular panel.
Yeah, for that particular panel. Yeah, I literally wrote this one this morning and then found the update where he had been dropped about 3 hours later. And I didn't want to have to rewrite the whole thing.
A lot of things.
Yeah, he's getting dropped like a rotten potato.
Yeah, because apparently, although the original allegations come from his ex, there are eyewitnesses.
That does not help.
No.
Yeah. As far as I can remember, it wasn't just necessarily sexual. It was also a lot of emotional abuse as well.
Yep. Oh, wow. Sounds like my old man.
Happiness. Moving right along.
Yes. All right. That takes us to our Big Finish news.
Woohoo! All right. Out yesterday in the main range is Iron Bright, featuring Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor. In this story, the Doctor visits mid-19th century London and has to deal with a haunting in the still under construction Thames Tunnel. Iron Bright is available now from Big Finish website for £14.99 CD, £12.99 download.
Pity the gaff.
What?
It does.
Oh.
It does look a bit like the Gelf, doesn't it?
Pity the gaff, yeah.
I need to. What does it look like? No.
It's
let me
a
see it.
spectral blue woman, is what they refer to it as.
Oh, hell yeah. That's Gelf. That's Gelf right there. You can't fool me. I know what a Gelf looks like. Not to be confused with a Gelfling. Nobody gets that reference.
I got it. I'm just ignoring it.
Add out.
I don't have wings. Of course not. You're a boy. See, I got it.
An ad out of today. Mr. You have a typo.
Oh, that's an and.
And out today is the Companion Chronicles Second Doctor Volume 2 featuring Fraser Hines, Wendy Padbury, Anarchy Willis, and Daphne Ashbrook and Louise Jameson. Stories include The Curator's Egg by Julian Richards, featuring Anarchy Wills as Polly, Dumbwaiter by Rob Nisbet, featuring Fraser Hines as Jamie and Louise Jameson as Leela.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah,
Head
in the
tilt.
same story. That's going to be fun. Have we heard them yet together? I thought there was
No.
a previous one. Or is this the one we've been talking about?
We've talked about this a little bit before, but now this is released.
Oh, wow.
So this is finally released, so that's going to be an interesting crossover.
Damn, I might have to re-up my Spotify account if they have it on there.
Probably not right away. It'll probably be about a year or so.
Okay. The Iron Maid by John Pritchard, featuring Wendy Padbury as Zoe. The Tactics of Defeat by Tony Jones, featuring Wendy Padbury as Zoe and Daphne Ashbrook as Captain Ruth Matheson.
Daphne
Also-
Ashbrook is better known as being Grace Holloway from the TV movie, but apparently she's taken up another role with Big Finish.
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep, she keeps coming back around. I don't know why, but she just keeps showing up. We just nod, smile, and say hello.
Hi there. The thing is that she's the Doctor's other wife. No, she's actually another reincarnation of River Song.
Doctor, you're being put on trial here for the charge of bigamy. How do you plead?
Yes, it's big of me, and it's big of you too. It's big of all of us. Let's be.
It doesn't
big.
count between regenerations.
Alright, the Companion Chronicles Second Doctor Volume 2 box set is available now from Big Finish for £20 CD, £15 download. In our upcoming releases, Big Finish has additional new news.
I forgot to pluralize. You can improvise those. Come on.
The upcoming Doctor series.
No, she
Ravenous
can't.
2.
She's reading exactly what she sees. Shame on you, Randy.
Recording has wrapped out, and the cover art has been released. Episodes include Escape from Caldor by Matt Fitton, in which the Doctor returns to Caldor and once again has to deal with the Vok robots from the serial Robots of Death. Better Watch Out and Fairy Tale of Salzburg by John Dorney, in which the Doctor goes to Salzburg, Germany, and must face the Krampus.
Ooh.
Yes, Krampus is still a thing, despite his waning internet popularity.
I still love his movie. His good one that was big.
Seizure by Guy Adams, in which the Doctor finally comes face to face with the Ravenous. Ravenous 2 is due out in October, with Ravenous 3 and Ravenous 4 coming out in 2019. Each set will be £23 CD, £20 download, or bundle all 4 box sets together for £90 CD, £80 download.
All right.
Awesome cover, by the way.
Which one?
The Ravenous 2 one.
I need to see that.
Clicky clicky and it zooms up. Looks like they did some new art for that robot in particular, which is
Oh,
nice.
sweet. Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, that's pretty much I don't know if you've ever seen we've not reviewed it, The Robots of Death. It's a very classic Fourth Doctor.
Oh, I've seen it. I remember that thing. I watched that. Yeah, that was some good Fourth Doctor.
I love Robots of Death. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So creepy.
Please do not throw hands.
You know, the robots from Voyage of the Damned wish they were the robots from Robots of Death.
Right?
Literally, they were obviously based on those robots, and they failed
to some degree, and they failed to make them as creepy. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the 1970s and 80s is outdoing you.
1970s.
Yeah, that was late 70s.
Tom Baker noted that the director of that serial took great pains to make sure that the robots moved at a certain rhythm. You know, and that they appeared as very little human as possible.
You know, screw it.
Yes.
We have at least a floater next season.
Robots of Death.
Robots of
Come
Death.
on. Yes.
Officially announced. Robots of Death. We're doing it.
I'm not announcing the date yet because we're still waiting.
We don't know because it's a floater, but we're going to claim that for the floater. Yeah.
But we have a couple of episodes, probably leeway either before or after the serial and the Christmas special. One of those is going to be Robots of Death. I'm stating it now.
Robots of Death. Awesome. No book it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I will rewatch that in a heartbeat. It's been too long.
Wow, that might be a $5. Okay. So, that is the end of our news. We have no Geek Talk. I'm not really going to rant anything. There has been no more news out of the rumor mill other than this basic rapid-fire stupidity I mentioned last week.
And people are still trying to hang on to it. Meanwhile, everyone else that involves is pretty much like, you're crazy.
We've got no new Geek Talk at the moment. We probably will in a week or two, but not quite yet. No reviews of shame. Wait for next week.
See, at this point, for the whole rumor mill, you should insert a link on the YouTube channel to go to this section of this video in which we discuss these rumors.
There's usually not much to discuss because it's all rumors.
Yeah, I pretty much.
Well, no, from our previous podcast.
A link to the previous podcast where we mentioned them.
No, it lasted a minute and a half, and I shut it down. It's basically
This was mentioned. These are all theories, and matter of fact, the actors involved have all said, I don't think so.
Yep. All right. We've now spent entirely too much time on that as we dealt with it last week. So we are up to our review, or our summary.
Our summary.
Synopsis.
Summaries. Who's going to do the summary?
So who wants to do this episode in a nutshell?
I believe I did last week, and you did too before that. So I believe Tim and Thomas are up on that one.
I'm just wondering if I'd remember enough to actually do it.
Well, that never stops me.
Okay, Tim basically just plows headlong into it and either swims or sinks.
He swims in his own special way.
Sometimes a little of both.
He's like a dolphin. 1 minute soaring above the waves, the next plowing beneath the depths.
And I'm either laughing my ass off or basically wanting to hide in a corner.
I'm picturing Tim as a dolphin now.
My life is fulfilled. Okay, so.
So Tim's gonna do it. All right. Whenever you start, Tim.
Okay, so there's a guy with a white hood on, and he hears a radio says, "Yeah, you have to kill this guy." And there's a 1 in 3 million chance that he'll survive. Like, fuck it, kill him anyway. Boom, and the ship explodes. And then there's guys in a rock quarry, and they're planting explosives. And the TARDIS appears, and the Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith are walking around saying, "Hey, where are we? What's that alarm?" And the guy says, What the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here! Get out! Run! Boom! And the wall explodes and crumbles down. And the doctor is like, my friend is in there. I'm sad. Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, wait. My friend is right there. He's buried. And she's holding something. A stone hand. This stone hand is 150 million years old. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. And Sarah Jane Smith is all, I have the magic ring. Wonder Twin powers activate. And she takes the stone hand to the nuclear reactor, and she goes in the nuclear reactor, and they're all like, what the fuck is she doing? It's gonna blow! It's gonna blow! And then,
I would just like to state for the record that it would have been an amazing episode of Doctor Who if they had actually said, what the fuck is she doing? Verbatim.
Anyways, do.
And then the hand starts comes to life and starts crawling around, and it hypnotizes people. And it's like, Eldar must live, Eldar must live. And the doctor also gets in on the hypnotizing, and he hypnotizes Sarah Jane to not be hypnotized. But then the hand absorbs the radiation from the nuclear reactor and re-goes into a hot, sexy lady. And the hot, sexy lady says to the doctor, take me to my planet back in time because they killed me, and I'm not down with that. And the doctor says, well, I can't take you back in time, but I can take you to your planet now. It's like, yeah, fair enough. And they go to the planet, and then the alien lady gets put in one of those Play-Doh squishy things, and gets crushed. But then shows up as a man and says, "No, I will have my revenge." Oh wait, all my enemies died millions of years ago. I can't have revenge. Oh no, I'm tripping over the doctor's scarf and falling to the abyss. And Sarah Jane Smith says, I'm really, this is really getting old, so I want to go. And then the doctor gets a call and says, by the way, Sarah Jane, I got a call from Gallifrey. You got to go. And it says, oh, well, and the doctor leaves Sarah Jane in a street with I believe it's a golden retriever. And Sarah Jane and the golden retriever live happily ever after. The end.
Not quite how it happened at the end, but
around
close.
about 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
All right. So let's talk about what we liked about the episode overall. And Matt, you're first this week.
Oh my, I'm on the top of the list. Okay.
Yep. The Dice God spoke, and they put you at the top of the list.
What I liked overall this week. Can I say that this is probably actually the most flawless execution of special effects we've had in a while?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would
they've
like-
not aged perfectly, but for what they were at their age, they're not bad.
I'm sitting here going, I'm looking at the hand moving around in this and going, wow, this was like, what, 20 years before the Addams Family movies?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were getting it pretty good. I mean, it was only like, what, 10 years or so
It wasn't
after.
perfection, but for its age, it was really darn good.
It creeped me out as a kid.
I mean, it's only about, what, 10 years or so after the Addams Family in the U.S., the TV series.
Yeah, and that was
They
always
couldn't
just
do
a
that.
guy
They
reaching
only-
through a box underneath a table, so...
Yep.
Thank you, thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I saw that. Hey, look, that disembodied hand's actually moving around. Holy shit!
It wiggles around and crawls at least once or twice.
Yeah. And I'm
Mhm.
like, damn, this is what, 1977? Shit.
Mhm. 1977 TV.
Mhm.
Yeah, TV should also
19
be noted.
1977 British.
British
TV.
TV also should be duly noted because they're like
Because
5 to 10 years behind.
Yeah, they're usually about 5 years behind the United States, technology-wise.
I like the glow eye effect, although I can see through it how they did it, but it was still a nice effect. There's some other little blue screeny additions here and there, but they didn't go crazy with it, so it actually worked for the most part. They had a special glow effect for when Elizabeth Sladen was under mind control and she was zapping people, and that's a pretty easy effect, and they at least got spot on.
All right. So Matt's votes for the special effects. Tim, you're next.
I really liked Elizabeth Sladen's performance in this one.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, Aaron's dying.
Yeah. My problem is I drink water.
From her moving, from the way she like walks when she's hypnotized, to her facial gestures, to the way she like just sits down on the floor with the box in the reactor room and just like a little kid, because I'm guessing that her mental state is like regressed under hypnosis to like an obedient child. Like
she's basically having to act under these orders that seem to be just the same phrase repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, Sarah Jane was just a treat to watch. I especially liked her interactions with the Doctor.
Yes, I have one of those that's actually a favorite, so we'll see if it gets mentioned at all.
Okay. Moving on. Well, actually, you get to go first, so fuck that.
Actually, yeah, I do get to steal that, actually.
Okay. Aaron, what you liked about it?
I liked the intensity in the atmosphere of the overall episode. Is that especially during the reactor, when they're in the reactor scenes and stuff, or in the power plant, it's amazing how such a small monster can create such havoc. And it kind of reminded me of, stuff like, gremlins and, critters and like another a lot more creepier stuff. How far this thing got just simply by getting other people to work for it, by controlling it through the hypnosis and stuff. But also, when it's in the chute pounding at the door, trying to get out, and that was like super fucking creepy. I'm like, how is it pounding against the door? What's going on? Yeah, it was really, I thought it was really well done, at least in the first half or first 3/4 of the show.
Yeah, the action did die down in the final episode, but at the same time, it kind of needed to be. That I'll actually talk about that in a bit. Thomas, what did you like about the episode overall?
God, like there's two things I had to choose from, but I'll just go with the first one. I like the fact that they were actually able to film on a actual nuclear facility, because like I think even in the behind the scenes stuff, some of them were expecting, oh, okay, we'll probably just be doing this on sets or like blue screen into something or whatever, but no, there's actually like sections where they're actually filming on a proper facility somewhere. So it's like, oh, thank God. They don't have to try and blue screen any of this crap.
Or redress some of it.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is.
All right. And that leaves it up to me, and I'm going to elaborate on Aaron's. And the pacing of this episode overall is really good because the like she said, the nuclear scenes are intense, well thought, chaotic at times, which they should have been considering everybody was going, what the hell's going on?
They had to evacuate the facility a couple of times at least.
But it kept you in this, this state. You kind of felt the palpable air of panic as this was going on. And then you get to the planet and the pace slows down considerably, even while they're under pressure from, Eldred essentially dying from a booby trap. But you get the feeling of desolation and quietness. And with what happened, who here is a fan of the classic Star Trek series?
I've
I
seen
am.
bits and chunks.
There is an episode called "Let That Be Your Last Battlefield," in which you get this violent going on between two members of the same from the same planet who are a slightly different race.
Oh, I think I
And
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and they finally make it to their home planet to drop them off, and they discover their entire planet had annihilated itself in war like years ago. And there's just this feeling, this quiet scene as they're watching the devastation. It reminded me of that in a way. This sad, this is what happened scenario. And that's good because it got the emotion over well. Something New Who wasn't always able to do so well, or something that old Who was not able to do so well at times. New Who can do it quite well, but usually only through the assistance of music. If it was one thing Murray Gold is known for, is making the mood with his music.
Mm-hmm. That by the way, that Star Trek episode, you're talking about the one with the guys that had a half white and half black face, I believe?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I've seen tidbits of that.
Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. I think that's a third season one. God damn it, I am such a geek that I know shit like that. All right, so let's go from what we liked to what we disliked.
Alrighty, so that
Matt,
brings me to
you're-
the top.
Mhm.
Disliked. Wow. I'm trying to think of a thing that I really disliked about this. I'm actually legit having a hard time of it. Actually, you know what? I will say that that the human characters don't seem to learn very well. And that seems to be a general overall theme for almost all of them.
I disagree.
They keep doing stupid things over and over and over again. It's just like, come on.
I actually wanted to say the plant director was a very refreshing from all those freaking stubborn assholes we got earlier in the season.
I second that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but then he comes after a monster that can stop nuclear weapons with a gun.
Yeah,
Dumb as a rock.
but the gun wasn't radioactive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
besides,
but the thing that's made of radioactive material, you really think it's gonna care about being shot when it originally came from purely a hand?
Well,
Well, maybe if
did
it's the
he
weakness
know?
is lead.
Yeah, did he know if this person was like silicon based, like the doctor before him?
No,
Dr.
I don't
Carter,
think
who
I think
died?
he knew that. All he knew is that it was absorbing radiation.
Okay.
Still, it was
I'll-
literally just a hand a few minutes ago. You'd think that he'd be a little bit smarter than that.
At
Yeah,
the same time, I mean, this is a creature taking over his facility. I mean, it's
I understand that, yeah, he's emotionally triggered and all, but it still lacks a little bit of common sense.
but he's still. I mean, compared to these other guys that are, you must
But
continue.
some of
the
the other
thrilling
guys,
no matter
yes,
what.
but there's still some qualms here. But
I
anyway.
mean, because the fact is that he pretty much, after the first like 2-3 minutes, immediately just starts going around with whatever the doctor says. He isn't this stubborn, I'm going to keep fighting you to the end. It's not one of these where the doctor has to
again,
not
I'm
only
not-
stop the
I-
aliens, but stop
Randy?
the direct.
Randy, I'm not arguing that. I'm still arguing that he had moments of huge dislogic. It was, like I said,
as
attacking
the
a
doctor-
squiggly hand monster with
as-
a gun.
As the doctor said, humans tend to fear things they don't understand, and when they fear it, they tend to fight it with whatever they have on hand.
And it's still a bit silly. But anyways.
Maybe he thought he could catch it by surprise.
Catch a thing that was literally a hand 5 minutes ago by surprise. That's totally gonna kill it.
Yeah, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Walk the fuck out my front door because I can't do anything about it.
I'm gonna hit it with my swinging cod? I don't know.
I
Okay,
think it
Tim.
was just you could see it as a moment of desperation on that character's part.
That was kind of my thought too. It was absolute desperation. Because he wasn't entirely privy to the Doctor and Eldred's conversation either. So, monster forcing the Doctor to do its bidding. I've got to stop the monster. This is going to get serious. What am I going to do? I've got a gun. Anyway, Tim, what did you dislike about the episode?
I thought there were moments when the Doctor and Leela, not Leela, Sarah Jane, sorry, brain fart, was their relationship or the way they got on with each other was a bit too heavy-handed or a bit too scripted, if that's a word like I can use to indicate that their paths are going to diverge soon.
If you mean kind of how she kind of 180s from I've got to I worry about you to I'm done at the end of it.
Yeah.
She had the world's shittiest episode 4. I mean, she wasn't really that serious. Was the issue? She was having a temper tantrum and trying to get the Doctor to take her someplace on a vacation. Is what she was trying to do. Instead of going to, Planet Danger, she wanted to go to Planet Hot Spring. And have a nice relaxing bath and something like that. She wasn't fully serious about leaving.
But of course the Doctor wasn't listening, so she decided she was going to try and tease him into it. That's why she was still wearing his coat.
Yep. But then of course the Doctor gets the recall signal, and because then immediately she's like, no, I can't miss that. I'm not going to miss Gallifrey. I was just kidding. But no. Nope. They say she's got to go.
All right.
That's kind of the mentality. Is she was just trying to get a nice little vacation. And too bad. All right. So, Aaron, what did you dislike about the episode overall?
I disliked the costume design for the male version of the villain. I liked the female costume design, was pretty cool, and she looked interesting and, very form-fitting kind of costume. But then the male, we see the male version of them created, and it's just like it doesn't look like it's pieced together very well. I can understand they were trying to make him look more bulky and, give him a more masculine appearance, but the jewel on top of his head just looked like it hadn't been placed very well. Like it had been not stapled, but like hot glued on, and it looked kind of crooked, and it didn't look as, symmetrical like what you would expect out of a geological base being.
Probably because of and I'm speculating. I agree with you, but what I'm speculating is probably because of the amount of screen time we get for male Eldrad. Mm-hmm. Male Eldrad is not anywhere near as much as female Eldrad. Mm-hmm. We get, we actually have female Eldrad for like a full episode's worth of time.
And I'm thinking that part of the reason why the bodysuit was hanky with the male version is also because they were probably originally using it for the other guy.
Yeah.
And he was half dressed. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the flaws were going to be hidden, but then they're like, oh, let's use it for the male version of the villain too.
Also, we're getting 25 minutes of screen time for this female costume, and we're getting 5 minutes of screen time for this male costume. Let's spend most of our budget money on the female costume.
And then this made this hunk of plastic for the male version. It's just like, oof, that's got to be killer to work with.
It wasn't terrible in my eye. I mean, this qualifies as a nitpick for me.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but it is really cumbersome by the look of it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The fly that can be seen walking across Glenn Houston's brow in one scene.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too.
Followed by Elizabeth Sladen in an outtake.
Oh.
Ew. Okay.
Elizabeth Sladen walked up and slapped it.
You should have saved that for least favorite scene on.
It was an outtake, though. Apparently,
it's an outtake because she was technically in the nuclear room at that point.
Okay. So Thomas, we're at you. What did you not like about the serial?
The more I think about it, the more I realize the one thing I have could also technically be a scene, so I'm probably just going to save it for the scene if it's taken by then.
and take a pass?
Yeah.
Or okay, so that's the only thing you have is something you're gonna use for a scene and take it on a pass. Okay. Oh. God. Any overall thing I didn't like about this? Nothing that's not a generalization for this point in the series. I've mentioned before I don't like that console room, but that's just me.
It is a very dingy console room.
That's my kind of my problem with it is it looks very kind of grubby. But no, I think that's about it. All right, so scenes that you like, Matt, you're first.
Okay, so favorite scene right off the top of the bat. So they've all evacuated, including the Doctor and Sarah Jane, because they were going to try and nuke the site, and the bombs dropped pointlessly. So the follow-up scene is my favorite, and that's the Doctor going, "Okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to talk to it. You all stay here." Elizabeth Sladen is told to stay back at least twice, if not 3 times. Still weasels her way through anyways, and immediately catches up with the Doctor. The Doctor looks to her. "Didn't I say you should stay behind?" "Yes, but that worries me. I'm worried about you, so I'm following you." That's just the thing, though. You worry me whenever you follow me. So we might as well be. So what does that mean? I guess you should be careful. That means the both of us should be careful, right? Half smile as they continue walking.
Yeah, that's just how great those two were.
And this is just them, like, possibly halfway ad-libbing as they're just marching down this little road to the nuclear plant.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tim, how about you? What was your favorite scene?
Okay, my favorite scene was the trap they laid for Eldrad with the Doctor Who scarf and the bottomless pit. Because it was absurd in conception, it was absurd in execution, and yet for some strange reason, it made perfect sense in the context of the serial itself. Like, it stood out, but yet it didn't stand out to me. And that is true art, I think.
Okay. I think Tim has been to a gallery recently.
The fact that it shouldn't be here and that it is just the epitome of art. Doctor walks into TARDIS,
Yes.
Disappears.
Because,
Magnificent!
It was Chekhov's gun, but it was Chekhov's scarf. Because
it's Chekhov's scarf because it's been there all season.
The thing is, it's not really. The scarf is like Tom Baker's secondary multi-tool. He uses that scarf for so much shit.
It's literally his towel.
It's not just Chekhov's scarf; it's Chekhov's bottomless pit too, because they went out of their way to establish that. Oh, by the way, there's a bottomless pit here.
And it's really risky getting around it.
Yeah.
Well, I say
so they knew what they were doing.
All right, Aaron, your favorite scene?
I've kind of got 2 of them, but
choose one.
Eh.
Choose one, because there's still people after you.
Okay, I'll choose the one. It's the one where Eldred in her female form falls on top of Sarah.
She's heavier than she looks.
And of course, Elizabeth Sladen there is acting it up and trying to express the fact that she is in fact made of rock. She's literally had a rock once again fall on top of her.
Absolutely selling it too.
Mm-hmm. And it goes hand in hand with the fact when we see the female form start to actually die, that she is very stiff and hard to maneuver around with. as the Doctor kind of portrays too, when he's carrying her
Mhm.
over the crevasse, and she's just like doing that board like that stance.
Yeah, I
So,
was about to say one of my follow-ups is the fact that Tom Baker literally deadlifts a stone woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That had to have been really kind of hard on the actress too. Although she seems like someone who'd be in like a dancer or someone who's had experience with that kind of movement.
Possibly, she's definitely been an actress for a while. I've figured out that much. She's still doing stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that had to have been especially interesting for Tom Baker, who's in this waistcoat and everything, and all of a sudden he's got to literally deadlift this woman who's trying to act like a statue as much as she can, and also help her do the statue look, and carry her over crevices and through doorways and everything else.
All right, Thomas.
Thankfully, mine wasn't taken. Mine is actually when Professor Watson is calling his family.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like the place has been evacuated and he's assuming something might go wrong, so he calls home and talks to his daughter a bit.
He's assuming at that point that the nuclear reactor is going to blow.
And even if he runs, he doesn't have anywhere to run to.
Yeah.
So he's calling home, talk to the daughter, and is talking to the wife. I'm going to be a bit late. That actually for me that struck as a really Godzilla-esque call out to me. Just kind of a reminder of the horror of nuclear power.
And even though like immediately after he has, like, the doctor's like, hey, yeah, no, it's all fine. It's still like it stands up as like a damn. I don't think. I mean, it's coming from someone who hasn't seen absolutely everything that survives of Old Who and hasn't seen. I don't think I've seen all of New Who. There's probably a few episodes here and there I've missed. But I would argue that this actually stands up as like one of the best moments like this in all of Doctor Who that I've seen.
And here's the thing. There hadn't really been any major nuclear reactor incidents yet. This was still a couple years before 3 Mile Island and a good half decade or more before Chernobyl.
But they seem to be on the button on that one. They were calling it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And they sold it real well, too.
And definitely, of course, decades before Fukushima, so...
Wow. Did you know that the script for the final scene between Sarah and the Doctor was rewritten from Holmes's original version by Sladden and Tom Baker?
Oh.
That's nice.
I was actually...
You are super robot. I think you recovered. Try again.
Try. Or
Hello?
not.
Thomas?
Thomas?
Oh, me. Yeah, I was slightly aware of that. They mentioned it in the behind the scenes stuff that Tom and Liz actually got to mess with it a bit.
Which is interesting you say that because that is my favorite scene. It chokes me up every time I watch it. Just the whole bit, of her getting, first trying to do that and then, realizing that he is actually going to leave her behind, and then the end of it when she realizes that he got it wrong.
Oh god, they got to the "Don't Forget Me" parts, and I'm just like, I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Yeah. And I mean, usually you don't want to feel choked up about that, but that's how good the show was and how much we loved these characters, and it's just like, no.
And how much we still miss Elizabeth.
That didn't even come into me. That didn't even come into it in my head.
It still comes into it for a little bit for me.
This episode has been choking me up since the 80s. It's like, no say goodbye to Sarah Jane, no.
She was supposedly whistling the tune "Daddy Wouldn't Buy Me a Bow Wow," except that she couldn't whistle, and they had she had to mime it while they dubbed it over.
Yep. And
Elizabeth,
this,
at least she tried.
which was all very interesting foreshadowing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor leaving her with a dog, and her whistling, "Daddy wouldn't buy me a Bow Wow." All very interesting foreshadowing, as we know eventually the doctor would leave her with a dog.
Affirmative.
When was Canine and Company planned? Was it
Early 80s.
okay?
So it would have been just around the time the Tom Baker and era was coming to
However,
a close.
It is interesting to note that the writers of this episode, I believe, are the same writers that write that create Canine. Yes, indeed, it's Bob Baker
yeah.
and Dave Martin. They are the ones that write the Invisible Enemy, which introduces Canine, and we'll be covering that one in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so I don't know if they had an idea about this already or what was going on there, but yeah, it was
Coincidences abound.
apparently, by the way, according to what Aaron read, they were originally planning on killing Sarah Jane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
and it was
Man.
Sarah
Tom-
herself. It was,
Thomas, if you want to talk about it, you saw it in the
yeah,
behind the
like
stuff.
yeah, she apparently flat out had said to Hinchcliffe that she did not want to be killed or married off. She was like, she didn't want to be married off because she didn't feel like that would be in character, or at least, especially because they haven't set anyone up yet, and
Yeah.
marrying her off suddenly would just be weird. And she also didn't want to be killed off because that seemed too easy.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be an episode, not this season, but the very beginning of this coming season after this. She was going to be killed off in a story that focused on, it was his pseudo-historical about aliens and the Foreign Legion. I think it was called the Legion or something like that. So, and also, Nicholas Courtney was supposed to be killed off at the end of this story, but he was unavailable.
Yeah.
And Harry Sullivan was supposed to make another appearance, possibly to be killed off too, I think.
Wow. Talk about
Yeah,
going
they were going
dark.
to kill. They were going to kill. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart was going to fly a experimental rocket into. They call it Castria in the story, but originally the script had them as Omegans. Omega 4.6, except that someone pointed out that they had already used the name Omega. Robert Holmes already had pointed them out. And in fact, they were the ones who wrote the Three Doctors and forgot that they used the word Omega.
They just must like the term.
Apparently.
So, and the Brigadier was supposed to be working for the Extraterrestrial Xenological Intelligence Task Force, or EXIT for short, at the end of the story.
Seriously?
Yeah. He was going to fly an experimental rocket into an Omegan kamikaze ship to prevent that ship from crashing into Earth. The plan didn't go through because Nicholas Courtney was unavailable for filming. This is from the TARDIS data core. The
Wow.
TARDIS wiki.
Just imagine how that would have changed
Yeah.
had he been available this season, because we would have seen him in the last couple of things that we saw, and then he would have died, and that would have completely changed the face of post This Who, where the Brigadier became a regular, like, guest appearance, like once a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently the state power station they're at was apparently also supposed to be the one from Claws of Axos, but they ended up not going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I believe we were up to what scene we did not like. And
Oh.
Matt, that's you.
Scene we didn't like. Up to me. Trying to think of any particularly bad scene. Other than the one I've already kind of bludgeoned on, but yeah. Other than that one, Leap of Logic, was there a particularly bad scene? Actually, I was confused for a few moments by the Doctor and Sarah's reactions when that thing came down on top of what's its face? When they were trying to revitalize it.
Oh,
Mhm.
Eldred in
When
the
they were trying to
Right.
revitalize
chamber.
Eldred, yeah, in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm.
like, you do realize there's these giant flippin' tubes here, right? You do realize it's obviously doing something other than just crushing it.
Mm.
I'm surprised that the Doctor didn't think of that sooner, but
Yeah, I think they just thought it was another booby trap.
it's
Yeah,
it's a nitpick, but it does
Mm.
seem like it's like this is a bit wonky.
Eldred's version of regeneration seems to be a bit more painful than the Doctor's.
Mm.
Let's crush you to a pulp and remake you that way.
Well, they just pulverize you for the material and recycled
Yeah.
you and combine it with more material to make you proper again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say about that one.
It's just a really weird mess scene.
Yeah.
Tim.
I thought the first scene with the Sarah and the Doctor wandering through the quarry, they were a bit slow on the uptake that there was danger afoot.
Yeah,
Like,
you'd think a big
yeah.
warning siren going off would have been a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, and
Yeah.
like, hey, who's that guy waving and screaming at us to get out? Like, what do you think he wants? I think he wants us to get out. It's like
Are you sure he doesn't want a
Yeah.
jelly baby? Yeah.
Like, I can almost kind of get, with the way Tom Baker played the Doctor, you could kind of get him not being as fussed. But you'd think Sarah Jane would be like, hey, wait a minute.
And it takes
Something
her a
doesn't
good
quite seem
2-3
right.
minutes to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron. How about you? Least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene is tripping the monster and having it fall into an abyss.
oh, that was my favorite scene.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I have to agree with Tim on this one.
I know it's great from a comedic standpoint, and it does solve the problem, but it's really anticlimactic in my point, and my feel, and how I feel about that.
Well, how else are you going to get rid of a giant rock monster? I mean,
Throw it into a sun? I don't know. Actually, no.
Well, actually, speaking of which, isn't there actually like an audio drama that follows up on Eldrad or something?
Yes,
I
I
think
saw
so.
it mentioned several times.
yeah,
Hmm.
because I even hitting me wondered about that because it's like, there's nothing that said that actually killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, the Doctor
And the
even
doctor
specifically
shuts down
says
his
that
ring
probably not.
afterward.
Yeah.
I by the way, I did get a little. I didn't get a full synopsis, but I did get little fragments. If you're interested on what happened to the creature, Eldred.
Mm.
Essentially, Eldred broke into fragments, and the fragments are all coming back to life.
Mm.
Mm.
All right, Thomas, your least favorite scene?
Well, this is the one that I held off mentioning as worst aspect because I feel like it could also work as the scene because it's the opening of episode 1 where we see the whole sentence to death thing being about like them trying to carry it out and then having to do it early and all that. Because it's like, as soon as I watch that, I'm like, yeah, well, clearly this character is just going to be an outright villain with no... Even though, like I feel like Eldrad trying to convince the Doctor of, oh, they, my people wronged me and all that, it probably would have been a bit, like, better if we didn't already know that clearly this is someone who's fucked up.
I still
like, they
feel like
make-
Eldred's actions spoke louder than words, but
Yeah,
Mm.
it's still it's very, to me, very reminding of the scene at the beginning of Superman when they put General Zod on trial. And of course, when you see Zod later, he's going to be a villain, but they never screw around with it. But it's just that whole thing,
we obviously want to get back to this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You
shut me up
before me, Jarrell.
All right, So my least favorite scene, and this is a nitpick, is the one where female Eldred comes out for the first time. You first of all hear this voice, and it sounds very different from how Eldred sounds the second you see that it's female. And then the actress playing Eldred's voice is different from that point. The point that she sees herself in a reflective surface, the voice starts softening. And I'm like, really? Really? You suddenly realize you're female, so now you have to talk like this.
Yeah,
Well, I think
the only
the I
kind
think
of
the creature just
started-
finally shaped. So
They started correcting it with the next scene. It just bothered me for those few minutes.
mm.
Mm.
And it was just,
again, it didn't really bother me. I just feel like the creature was still
like I said,
solidifying.
it was a nitpick.
Yeah, the only kind of argument I could maybe make for defending that is probably a kind of the regeneration not being entirely complete or something.
Like I said, still
So, like, the
solidifying,
voice
not
holds
quite
over.
finished.
Like I said, nitpick.
Yeah.
It just came off to me as a little bit sexist, just a little bit.
Well,
Anyway.
it
What's a
felt like
funny
they were
thing,
trying to
I-
hold that to the chest a little too hard. Yeah.
Anyway, that's about all I had for that, and that's everything except for our final thoughts and ratings. So we will start with our final thoughts, and Matt.
Oh, final thoughts. Outside of essentially what I can guess we can summarize as a bunch of nitpicks, there isn't actually too much wrong with this particular episode. The usual stingy characters aren't as stingy as they usually are. A lot of people are actually acting very intelligently. There's some actual moments of real palpable drama. Really well written for the most part, and well acted by all the usual players, as well as some of the new ones for this particular story. I really have very few, if any, complaints. It's a really well done story.
All right. That's all you have to say about that?
Pretty much.
Tim?
I thought this was a pretty cool episode, especially the Doctor and Sarah Jane. I'm wondering, would I feel the same way about this episode and Sarah Jane's departure if I had seen all the Sarah Jane episodes in chronological order?
I don't know. I don't know if I have seen all the Sarah Jane episodes.
I have.
I'm pretty sure I've seen at least most of them.
Oh, I've seen most of them, but I don't think I've seen all of them.
So I'm just wondering, like, would that scene, like, where she suddenly, like, does a 180, would that have made more sense if I had watched, like, or at least this season with...
Again, as we and Randy have mentioned for you before, they like to tease each other really harshly at times.
I mean...
But that's just, speculation on my part, like I like wondering what if scenarios like that. But this was a pretty cool episode, I think.
Yeah,
major problems.
By the way, just looking at the story chart, I'm not familiar too much with Planet of Evil, and I'm very fuzzy on Mask of Mandragora, but I've seen most of the other Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane, so...
We had Mask of Mandragora on VHS.
I've seen it, but I don't know how much I retain on it. I think that time I watched that was in the 80s and it was Christmas, so I was distracted by presents. Anyway, so let's see. Aaron, how about you? Your final thoughts?
Well, I feel the tension, the special effects, most of the costuming, the acting of Elizabeth Sladen and Tom Baker all really come together really well in this. It's definitely something that you're going to want to see. I haven't seen in a really long time, and I enjoyed it a lot. Everyone seemed to really kind of put forth their best effort, and I highly recommend it. So.
All right. Thomas?
I really enjoyed this one. I'm also glad that I actually managed to, even though it was very last minute, that I did get to rewatch it the second time to really take it in. The supporting cast is pretty good. I'm actually, weird as this might sound, I'm actually kind of glad this wasn't a unit story. Because I feel like certain elements probably might not anyway, have worked as well. Because like with the Brigadier, he'll just go along with the Doctor, so
Yeah.
certain things probably wouldn't have happened that otherwise do, because you're just dealing with randoms.
Yeah, they were going to have degenerative humans again, and
Yeah, really, like, part of me wishes I had seen more Sarah Jane stories before this, just to kind of make it mean a bit more, but oh well. It's still, in a way, I'm actually kind of glad that this isn't like a global threat kind of a thing. Because, like, you have Joe Grant went out on essentially what could have ended up being a global threat story.
Well,
So the fact that this is actually not as big a threat, really, in a way, it's actually kind of nice.
well, I mean, he does kind of threaten to take over the Earth and enslave humanity at the end of it, but the Doctor's like, yeah, not going to happen.
Yeah. But that's all for me.
All right. So I remember watching this as a kid, and I was not thrilled with this episode. I kind of liked the beginning, and I kind of liked the end, but I mean, I was choked up by the end. But the rest of it kind of was mad to me. But watching it again, 30 years later, I'm going, this is actually a very good episode. The character interactions, the dialogue, the special effects, this is one point where everything just seemed to come together and work like magic. So yeah, this felt awesome and enjoyable, and I really liked it this time around. Now, for ratings. Matt.
Oh, gosh.
You are opening us. You are starting the bar. Where is your bar?
Oh, God. Again, there's nitpicks to be had, but the thing is, they're only nitpicks. I think this would landed at a 4.75, which means I probably have to round this up to a 5.
5 from Matt.
This is really damn good.
Second in a couple of weeks. Nice.
Yeah, we got some really good Tom this week, in the last couple of weeks.
Tim.
Oh, man. If Matt outdoes me on this week, I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh.
Then again, do I really like this episode all that much? I mean, it's a good episode.
But is there anything to really say you really dislike it that much for?
No, so I'll give it a 5.
Huzzah!
Aaron.
Despite a few of the nitpicks that I have, I think I'm gonna give it a 5 too.
Oh.
Thomas.
Well, as I've mentioned previous, the highest I'll ever give anything is 4.5, because I'm never really 100% about giving anything perfect marks, so yeah, I'll go for a 4.5.
Really?
That's, by the way, a horrible, horrible philosophy. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the worst kind of philosophy. No, nothing's going to be 100% perfect.
You're the fucking Bulgarian judge at the Olympics, aren't you?
But for crying out loud, there are things that can be resembling near perfect and would be high enough.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that the 5s, Matt and I both agree that there are problems, but they're so tiny that that's coming out to what would round up to a 5. I mean, it's like 4.8, 4.9, and that rounds to a 5. That's the way we look at it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I am also giving this a 5.
Ooh.
Because I believe the nitpicks are so minor. So only because of Thomas being Thomas, Does this not make one of our perfect 5 episodes?
This is why I hate giving numerals, because all of a sudden people will throw monkey wrenches like that in there.
It does, however, come out to be a 4.9. Which sorting is going to put us up at the damn near top of our thing. Yeah, not ever having a 5.0 is basically saying nothing's ever good enough for me.
It's also kind of almost telling me we shouldn't even count you into account. That's just, come on. There's, you gotta give something.
They're itching for an
By the way,
average.
this puts us at number 4
Whew.
out of 251 things reviewed.
You dissed a number 4.
But the fact that this is rated so highly begs the question: is greatness nothing more than the absence of badness?
That's a good question.
Well, for me, it's not only the absence of badness, because if it was just not bad but not good, it would get a 3.0.
Yeah.
Because that's an average. But
That'd be average.
you got the superb acting by Elizabeth Sladen, her superb relationship with Tom Baker, the excellent pacing of this episode, all kept bringing it up and up and up and up.
And the fact that they used their effects wisely and didn't screw them up for a change.
Yes, the fact that they also had very decent special effects as opposed to what we've been getting from CGI. I mean, you remember, this is only a season or 2 out of Robot, which had some of the worst blue screen in recent history.
Mm-hmm.
And all the blue screen done here is done well enough that you really can't fully tell. I mean, if you look close enough, you can tell it's blue screened. But on an average glance, you're not going to go, oh, wow, that's obviously blue screened. You know? So all of that keeps popping it up.
And the few things that I can easily say is, oh, that's blue screen, but they're definitely trying to pull something really nice there. It's got art to it.
Anyway, at number 4, it is on par with The Pirate Planet and The Unearthly Child minus the Tribe of Gump, just the first episode. It is better than The Armageddon Factor, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Time Heist, The Empty Child, Dr. Dances, Genesis of the Daleks, and Dalek. But it is not as good as our 3 5.0s, which we will apparently never have again, thanks to Thomas. Caves of Androzani, Sarah Jane Adventures, The Lost Boy, and Remembrance of the Daleks.
Oh, Remembrance is so good.
So number 4 out of 251, that's all we have to say about The Hand of Fear.
Yay.
Oh,
And by the
gosh,
way,
Caves.
this
Caves
score may
is like
change.
the best acting that he ever did. Anyway.
Then, by the way, the score may change when we get Ville's opinion next week.
It might actually jump up a spot.
It could. It theoretically could, because Bill could put it up to above a 4.95, which would auto round it to a 5. So we can basically look at Thomas and go, "Fuck you, Bulgarian judge. You got our perfect score."
You got perfect without you. But anyways, with that being said, I need to transition over to the image here. So thank you all very much for watching the show. I hope you've been enjoying the live stream. If you want to catch us elsewhere, you can also catch us not only on the VODs here on Twitch, but you can also catch us on the YouTube channel at Unearthly Podcast. You can also, as I mentioned, find us here on Twitch for live streaming at Unearthly Podcast. You can find our Twitter feed at Unearthly Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Unearthly Podcast. And if you really enjoy our show and want to do more than spread the word, you can also donate $1 or $2 through our Patreon at An Unearthly Podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, with Sarah Jane gone but not forgotten, we move ahead, skipping the companion-free Deadly Assassin, to one where we meet the Doctor's new companion. Wait, did I say meet? We haven't done one of those since I think Jamie. Join us for The Face of Evil, written by Chris Boucher and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor and introducing Louise Jameson as Leela.
Oh,
See you
yes.
next week.
Good night.
Naughty night.